And we're back. Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody, or Monday, depending on where you are. Our friends down under, but it should be Sunday for just about everybody else. Andy Nichols from Two Legs here in the Sunday Spotlight for my usual morning chat. A little bit earlier this week. Because the NFL is back. And if she's watching, Janet Davis, let's go Giants. Good morning, everybody. MVP, Tom, Tony, Mike, hello. Yes. It's a glorious time. This is like my favorite time of the year because the weather is changing. It's cooler. I love the summer. The summer was fantastic. Really was. But now, like from now until the Super Bowl, it's awesome. Routines, baby. Routines. Sunday. Let's go. Thank you. 100 years of the Giants. Susan. Hello. Good morning. Hi, Boyan. How you doing? Well, it's just only 30 minutes. But, this will be the usual start time now for Sundays, 11 o'clock till about 12:30-ish or so, depending on when the Giants are playing. And that's only for the first probably 8 weeks. See, partner, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you flat. This is Tom's I can't stand this time of year mode, but all good. So we've had a little bit of activity on our channel over the last few days. Yesterday I posted our collectors panel from the Chicago Fest, which some of you here in the chat were actually there for. Tony and Heidi were there. So check that out. That was with myself and Tom, Jen Hooper, Ethan, and Joe Mayo. And we all kind of brought some little artifacts from our collections to show off. I brought some of the Mind Games cube, a couple other things. Joe had a little Hey Jude indoor display. Jen Hooper had a original Beatles lunchbox, and Tom brought his Another Day singles from all over the world, 9 of them, I think. So give that a view. And then also the other day, you probably saw it. If most of you probably already, because everybody commented on it, and the comments were great on my long-awaited, rarity when I got the promotional box for All the Best. Yeah, baby. Here it is. Susan, I still can't believe you didn't have this. I was sure as hell that she would have that. And then her comment was great. She goes, Andy, are you sitting down? Are you sitting down? I do not have that. Interesting. Yeah, really great comment on that little drop. So I think like almost 50, which was great. Anybody but Philadelphia. Anybody but Philly or Dallas. Anybody but Philly or Dallas is okay with me. If it can't be the Giants, anybody but those two teams. Anybody. Boyan, haven't managed to watch the collector's panel. Busy work weekend, checking it out. Yeah. It wasn't cheap. This is not. I actually just checked on Discogs this morning again. Discogs is a great resource. I'm sure most of you know it. There's 2 on there, and one guy is just selling one single out of the box, and then there's one complete set, and I think it's from like New Zealand or something, and it's like with shipping it's like $300. I didn't pay that much for it, but it was available and I grabbed it. So scour the internet, you Maca fans, for that All the Best promotional box single set. So pretty good weekend yesterday. Hello, James. Hope you had a good first week. I know I did. 1 week down and a lot to go. Yesterday was a really cool, fun day. Got together with Susan and Jim Ryan and Ken and Janine Womack and got to catch up with them. Myself and the MVP took a trip into New York to catch up with them and kind of post Chicago Fest recap, which was cool to see them again. And before you know it, we'll be planning the next fest for March in Jersey City, which, by the way, if you want to go, rooms are available now already for the March Fest here in New Jersey, in Jersey City. Crazy. One ends and then the next one is planned and ready to go. So if you haven't booked yet, make sure you grab a room. Hello, Scott. Hello. So you might hear in the background some music playing, which is going to be a little bit of a hint on our next show, which we recorded the other day, Tom and I. We recorded episode 258, which will drop next Saturday, and that's our top 20 B-sides, which was a lot of fun, which I'm sure some of you can guess because we've talked about a lot of them on the show before, but we actually never did a proper episode where, you know, they did, Tom and David did one back in the day, but I thought we did, but we hadn't. Hello, Elliot. Hello. So, yeah. Boy, and other copy of all the best. Switzerland. Oh, okay. Oh, it was, you looked it up. It was Switzerland. If it was New Zealand, it would have been as cheap as chips for you. Very cool. Scott O'Rourke says he hears Jeff Britton could be at the New York Fest. That would be cool. Jeff lives in Spain now, so I'm not sure. We can, but there's people we can ask about that. Would be cool. Yeah, it's there. There's only one copy available on Discog. Now, I didn't check eBay. I'm sure eBay might have a few too, but who knows what that might be. Yep, September, man. Busy month. Concerts, movies, lots of movies coming up. MVP. The Fest block is sold out for... Wow, it's already sold out? The Fest block of rooms is already gone? Wow. The discounted rates may be gone, but people should ask for the Fest rate to be honored anyway. With the U spelled right. Ha ha ha. Brendan. Hey, Andy. Missed the U2 talk. We talked about where we were talking about different bands and stuff. How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb is supposedly getting a deluxe reissue sometime this year. Wow. Late this year. Catching up on the comments here. God, remember when that album came out, when the iPod was being launched? They just bundled every iPod with that album on it, which I didn't mind. What was the big hit from that album? Vertigo. That commercial was everywhere back in the day to get that. Some people were pissed. I didn't mind it. I didn't. That was a good record. Chris. Yeah, that's why we did it. It's basically a reply to Beatley Tone. And he had his show was great too, and we agreed on a lot of the rankings that we had. People love ranking shows; they seem to do very well. Tony's going to test the New Jersey Fest virtually. Okay, hopefully they have some more cameras and rooms that will be live streamed for that. Scott O'Rourke, yeah, he does a show out on Long Island. Check that out. Goes weekly. Scott, if you want to plug your channel and station, go right ahead. Took a little bit of a dive this past week, actually the last 2 weeks. Thanks, spurned on by the Hoffman Forum threads and a good friend of mine. We buy these things, we collect these things, and we play it once, and then we file it, or we put it on the shelf, and sometimes we forget we even have it when we collect things so much. But a friend of mine mentioned that he wanted to get the EP, the CD EP set for the Beatles, and he was looking for it online. It was going for under $200, and he's a big audiophile, and and I actually didn't think that I had it, and I looked upon the shelf, and I had it. Of course I had it. I knew I had it. I just thought it was the singles, and I got to tell you, Andrew from Parlogram did a really good video on why this is one of the most sought after box sets to have, because of the sound quality, and he's right. He plays you the 1987 versions, from originally on CD, then the 2009, and then these from 1992. And I have to agree. We get these things and we tend to forget about it. There's so many subtle nuances with the different mixing and mastering with some of these things that you hear that us Beatle people kind of go gaga over. But the EP set has been really nice to dive back into and really listen to it with really, really fine-tuning ears and hearing all these little nuances that you hear, different mixes and all those little oddities that we love about all this stuff that are on here. And the artwork is just fab on all these. It came out in '92. It was mastered by Peter Mew from EMI/Abbey Road. And it came out initially on vinyl in '81 and then on CD. In '92, and I don't remember when I got it. I definitely bought it online, but then when I found it on the shelf, and I knew it was one of them. The Japanese EP set too was also very good. They're worth getting. They're absolutely worth getting. The sound quality is it's really good. It's not over the top. There's just enough bass in it, and it's just clean. I'm not saying that the 2009s are good. It's just a different listening experience. I guess clean would be one word to describe it. And it's really watching Andrew's video breakdown on this. It really confirmed or reaffirmed why I think it's really like the preferred one to go listen to. Even like this bonus one here with the last one. You've got The Inner Light, Baby You're a Rich Man, She's a Woman, and This Boy. And This Boy wasn't really the true stereo one. It was actually just the one they used on Love Songs from 1977. Now there's a compilation that you wish would go on CD. The Beatles Love Songs. That was an awesome, growing up as a kid, looking at that album. The gatefold, classy, presented well. The pictures on the inside by Richard Avedon. The lyrics, like just a total classy presentation. That really, really one day, if Capitol does do a box set of all the other stuff, which is rumored, the Love Songs album should really be in there, because that was a really well packaged record that came out there, and kind of that late Beatles revival of all the vinyl, the reissues, which some of them weren't. Rock and roll music was but Love Songs was good. Love Songs was really good. Ralph, hey Andy, just got back from England. Stopped by 3 Savile Row. Very cool and surprisingly quiet neighborhood. Well, yeah. It's that's a nice part of town. Posh, pretty posh. Yes, the fake leather. Yeah, that and I'm pretty sure. I think. Do I even? This is what I'm saying. You get something, you might even realize you have it. Do I have it on CD? I think I bought like a Japanese import of it. I'm just doing the scan here. I don't know if I have it. Hold on a minute. Excuse the giant shirt. Do I have it or not? I knew I had it. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I have a CD version of it, but it's not real. You need that gatefold fake leather thing that Susan's talking about. Yeah, definitely. But this one was growing up, this was a big play. Always. A collection of Beatles oldies. Yeah, that shouldn't be. When I was over at SRR's yesterday admiring her vinyl collection, she actually had a copy of that. British pressing. I don't know if it was an original, but... and I have one too, but I think it's a later pressing from the 80s. I think hers was a more original. Jeff, good morning. I like those EP sets because they haven't been remixed, making the 2 surviving Beatles. Yeah. That's a very good point, Jeff. That's a very good point. They were, yeah. Exactly. Tony, I've seen the set list. Not sure what he's talking about there. Oh, Ollie. Hey, Ollie. Number 1 song I'd want McCartney to add to his set list? Oh, off the top of my... Take it away. Among other hundreds of songs. Yeah. I thought I did. It was not the legit one. It was not legit. And does it have an Obi Street? Yeah, this is from Japan. Yeah, this is one of those Japanese ones. So I don't know if it's real or not. I really don't. Like, is this a legit bona fide release or not? I don't think it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. What say you, audience? Anybody else have this version on CD? The zoom. There we go. Focus. Not sure. Not sure. Let me know in the comments. So, who's going to watch some football today? Who's watching the NFL? Who doesn't give a crap about the NFL? I know that Joe, if Joe's on here, Joe doesn't give 2 shits about the NFL, which is fine. Detroit, my partner, he says he doesn't watch it, but I know he has it on in the background at work. Girl is on that album. Girl is, and you know what, Tony? I'm glad you mentioned that. Girl, because that is the talking point for Jude Kessler's next webinar series, which is tomorrow night. If you know Jude Kessler, Follow her on social media. She has an invite for her webinar on the song Girl, which is tomorrow night. If somebody has the link and can post it, or just search her up. Most of you know Jude Kessler. She does a great. I attended one of her webinars over the summer, and she did one on the 1965 tour, and that's a UK tour, and that's when she had nicely sent me a copy of this kind of compilation by the Paramounts, because the Paramounts supported the Beatles on that tour. And Jude is just awesome. She's a doll. She really is. So check that out tomorrow night for that. Jeff's going to watch the NFL for 13 hours or so. There you go. Brad. Hi, Brad. I don't follow the NFL. I do watch college football, though. One of the guys that played at my high school is the starting QB for the... Wow. So you're talking... That's the Lamar Jackson? Wow. Cincinnati. Very nice. Going up against New England today. Yep. So, yeah, a lot of books coming out. All good stuff coming out. We've got the next installment of the diaries for Mal Evans, probably dropping in the next year or so, which will continue that. That wonderful, wonderful story of a life that needed to be told and done so well by Ken Womack. Susan says that she doesn't believe the love song CDs are legit. I didn't think so. I did not think they were. But I don't know, we're a little bit ahead of our next show, but since we talked about it, what are your top 3 or 4 B-sides of Paul's career? I'm sure that we will probably have a lot of the similar when that episode drops, but we can have a little teaser of it now. What are some of your favorite B-sides out there? They're so damn good they didn't have to be B-sides. They could actually have been singles, I think, in a lot of spots. There you go. Good one. One of the best. One of the best. Macca singing dirty. Ooh. Hi, Tim. My partner likes that. My partner likes that. That was not on, I can tell you that. That song was not on my list. It wasn't. Elliot. So they did make a CD version with the leather. That means it was probably gatefold, right? Definitely a gatefold. Interesting. Yeah, that Capitol needs to do that. Okay, Jeff, we're vibing. We're vibing, buddy, because they're not my. That's not my 1, 2, 3, but all 3 of those are in my top 20. So now you're talking. Now see, this is we all speak the same language here. Yes, MVP. Got it. Right here. Ready to go. I need a pen, though. It's a little in-joke. Boyan, I'll give you a ring. Can't imagine secret friend. Check my machine and daytime, nighttime suffering. Secret friend. You may or may not hear that on our show, too, at some point. Chris says, same time next year, daytime, nighttime suffering. I'll give you a ring. Sweet, sweet memories. Interesting. That's a deep pull from the off the ground complete works. Hello, mother. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're chilling and relaxing. Ma, you ready for some football? I know you can't wait. Early, yes, because the Giants are on at 1 o'clock. You should know this. You should know this. You can't wait. I know you can't wait. Oh, she raised 2 sons and has a husband who's obsessed with football, and she still can't stand it. She has never, ever liked it. She hates it. Hates it. I would wait. I would just thought maybe after 20 years you'd like it. Super Bowls, you just never, ever liked it. Ever. You supported us, though, which was great, but you do not like it. Let me go back to the B-sides. Hold on. Tim says water spout, but it probably doesn't count. That would have been a good B-side. Same love I would count. Now, you know what? That's one that Tom and I missed, I'll be honest with you. We did not count that. with this loving game from Chaos. That Chaos, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Listen, we get fired up. We get fired up. You know this. We get fired up, and then we file it, and it's over. And then we return back to our normal selves. You know. She probably thinks, what has this sport done to my husband and sons? Why do they turn into lunatics when the games are on? Oh, woman, oh, why? Wow, good timing. Because it just came on. Oh, no, this is Cosmically Conscious. Brad, I actually watched the Super Bowl once. I got hooked into the hype of the 1985 Chicago Bears with the whole shuffle video. I just saw it 30 for 30. Yeah, that was Jim McMahon doing the shuffle and Refrigerator Perry. Yep. Yeah. Let me go back to the comments, make sure I didn't miss any. Boyan. Well, we just mainly kept it to really proper singles, 45s, A and B side. We snuck a couple of CD singles in there, but you know what? If you want to count it, count it. I would count it. 20's hard. I mean, he's got a lot. 222. Yeah. Yep, the singles box, which is hard to believe that thing's almost 2 years old already. Yeah, the 7-inch singles box. You know, after the Cube, that thing feels like it's a mere bag of shells getting that thing. Anybody know if that 7-inch singles box set is still available, or is that totally sold out? I think it's probably sold out. I don't know if it's any aftermarket price. I mean, once we get these things, we just kind of check to see if it's still in stock or it goes for stupid prices. I remember talking to Tom about it when it came out. It went really, really quick. Elliot, did you know that Girl, backed with You're Gonna Lose That Girl, was scheduled for release, but only the sleeves were printed and the project was canceled? Picture sleeve is the Love Songs cover. Interesting. Elliot, are you talking strictly for a Capitol release or a Parlophone or what? That sounds like it's probably a Capitol thing only. Cosmically Conscious, though, which is on now, I think that's a great B-side. Hi, Laura. Good morning. I'm a casual UK soccer fan. I support Liverpool. For me, it's more of like when you're there in the moment and you take it all in. You know, I went to a couple of matches when I was in Liverpool, and that's exciting. I mean, that changed my perspective totally. It makes us American football fans look like, nothing, because I do like it. And like when the Euro Cup was on, I was into it watching it. When the World Cup is on, I'll be into it. I'm not going to seek it out, on a nightly basis, just because, I mean, I don't even have enough time. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't even have enough time to really soak in even American football like I used to, even 10, 20 years ago. I'll watch the Giants casually, and life goes on, win or lose. Professional sports is something that's waned on me as I've gotten older. I used to live and die by winning and losses for everything, but you learn, what's important at the end of the day. So, and life goes on, win or lose. So, but I appreciate it. I really do. To answer your question, Laura. 222 was about his daughter B. Okay. Singles box is available on download for the moment. Okay. Yeah. That was really cool. That was awesome. Awesome job by Paul to get that out. Wasn't complete, as we know, but it was good. It's not true. Yep. You may or may not hear that song mentioned on the show when we drop it. Boyan. I'd agree with that, Susan. Not sure we need the little falsetto vocals. Yeah. Susan says, I looked a couple of weeks ago on the Beatles store website, and the 7-inch singles box was available. Okay, it might have. Yep. Cosmically Conscious. Yeah, and that's the song, like, damn, like, the 4-minute version should have been on Off the Ground. And we talk about that on the show. And, the Capitol really, they did you dirty if you bought that 45 because you thought you were actually getting the real song. I should have grabbed it before I went live just to show you. But the label says like 4 minutes and whatever seconds on it, right? And you put the 45 on, and all it is the fade in from the Off the Ground album, the album version. And you're like, wait a minute, it's not what I wanted. But if you got the complete works, you got it. Yeah. Anybody have a physical copy of the complete works? I'm sure Susan does. That was I remember being a really, really early score. Like when I found that when I was 18 or 19, it was like, wow, this is gold to have this. Here we go. Don't fall. Yeah, this was, to find this was a big, big deal back in the day in the 90s. You had that, you were living. The double album that never was. For sure. I'll Give You a Ring. I remember getting this at the fest, circling like 1997 or 98. I had, early internet days. How do you figure out what these songs are? Getting, okay, take it away. What's this song called? I'll Give You a Ring. Remember going back to my house, going downstairs, playing it, and going, Jesus Christ, this is a fantastic song. Why is it a B-side? Scott O'Rourke, our B-side show is dropping on the 14th of September at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Saturday. Yep. Absolutely. Okay, this is in regards to the reported single of Girl, You're Gonna Lose That Girl. Capital. They were doing the same thing with Got to Get... Yes. Yep. It certainly is. Ted. Certainly was. I've never heard a demo of Cosmically Conscious, but it certainly fits that vibe of India and Rishikesh and all that other stuff that they were doing. Anybody ever see the documentary on the Beatles in India that came out a couple of years ago? I have not seen it yet, but I heard good things about it. Boyan, I know you're crossing your fingers for it too, Andy. I keep saying to my mother that I'm hoping for a wonderful Christmas time in December, but I'll take Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae if not. I think it's a safe bet, Boyan. That's what Ken was telling me last night. He goes, you're going in December. He goes, you're going to get wonderful Christmas time. I said, I hope so. I hope so. You're talking about the Japanese. This one too. Ha. Another gem with the white box. Yep. And you open it up and you've got the little small 3-inch CD with long leather coat and kicked around no more. This was not that expensive either back in the day, too. It was not a ton. As the book falls out. Ugh, pain in the ass. Maybe this was like $20. Maybe 30. This was not a ton of money to get this. But I really wish this should have been like how this was packaged. You should have had the second disc packaged into... a big, what they used to call the Fat Boy 2 CD jewel case thing. I miss when CDs were packaged like this. Now they're just all cardboard and they fall apart in 2 days. This was like, you go to the store, you're flicking through, you pick it up, you're like, got it. I mean, I know it's, the environment and plastic and stuff, and paper's easier and it's biodegradable, but Dan, there was nothing like having a jewel case. And if it cracked, heavens to Betsy. If a jewel case cracked, you had to get rid of it. I used to just buy extra jewel cases because I would like to keep my Beatle ones nice and clean. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, if you had a jewel case that was scuffed up or it cracked, that was like a major. You were like, this has got, the Beatle ones were always had to be clean. Taking my shirt and cleaning the top of it. Put it back up. Had to. The jewel cases were the best, man. Absolutely the best. Remember going to the Wiz and buying the boxes of the replacement ones. Because back in the day, if you were going on vacation or something, you had to take all those CDs with you. There was no iPod. If anything, you took the discs out and put them in one of those Logic Book things. You can take that with you. They do actually, Tony. If you have a traditional CD player, not one that you have to slide in. You have to have the kind of CD player where the tray comes out and then you can drop the 3-inch CD in and it plays. This little thing will play. It does. Yeah, I mean it's only 2 songs, but it will play for sure. I didn't think it was going to either when I first got it. I said, look at this little small thing. Is this going to play in my CD player? But it did. Yes. And they were cheap, too. You could load up. Yeah. Elton John famously hates he did a rant about it, how his CDs are packaged that way, too. I'm sure you can still buy them. Obviously I don't fret about them anymore as much, because generally now with CDs, I'll still buy them. And what I do is, like, when I get them, I'll give them 1 or 2 plays on the main stereo, then rip them to my music library. So I have those files, and then on the shelf they go. That's where they go. So I have them, but of course I don't play them as much as I used to. I mean, I have a couple of friends who are hardcore though. They're just not into playing. They're not into streaming or anything. They want physical CDs. A friend of mine actually got a new car, and he had to pay more money to have a CD player put into his car than not. No, it's true. When his album "Wonderful Crazy Night" came out, I remember reading something, and it was in an interview, and he talked about how he hates CDs being packaged in the cardboard. It's true. Look it up. Catch up here. Yeah, they're crap. Boyan was lucky enough to hear Mull in 2017. He's gonna, and we're not gonna know for a while because he's not gonna play at any of all those gigs in South America and all that stuff. And he's not gonna play it there. So we'll find out. We shall find out. Yeah, and even with the EP set, right, with the Beatles ones, like. With only 4 songs on it. Oh, okay. Yes, it was definitely a diva moment for sure. In this age of streaming and stuff, I know people it requires a lot of effort if you're going to just pop in a CD that's only got 4 tracks on it. But, the EP was a really cool format that I really wish took off in this country, but never did. They didn't. Hello, James. Thanks for popping on here today. EPs were really big in the UK. They sold well. They did not take off in this country. 2 songs on each side. Lynn, I downloaded all of my CDs to my computer years ago and gave them to my son. Yeah, see, some people just don't anymore. They just don't. And I'll be honest. It's like one hand clapping the CD. I bought it. It's actually still in the CD player. Because if you want to jam out, you've got to do that. You've got to play it that way, and it gives you time to reevaluate, and listen to those things in a different way. That's why a lot of people, some people didn't like the 45, the single set with Paul because you had to get up. I thought you were new. I had not seen you on here. Thanks for being on here today. Check our show out if you haven't. We've got 257 episodes worth to go check out. I've only been a part of. Everything from episode 67 and on. EPs, right? They're not done. It just did not take it. There were some made. I have some there were some done. I have some Frank Sinatra EPs and stuff like that. They were manufactured. They just didn't take off as much. Jeff says, I have the 2 CD flower version of Flowers. Yep, that's the Japanese one too. Yep. You mean this one, right? Yeah. Another one that was not a ton of money. Not super expensive. This is the second disc, which is that Message to Japan, right? Yeah. The special package. Yeah. Good score, this one. Hello, people of Japan. He's done a lot of those messages. Good and bad. Tony says Elton John also told Jay Leno that he will never get an iPod because he only listens to and well, hey, to each his own. Excellent. I have just started my own channel. Congratulations. What are you into? Obviously the Beatles, right? Joe says, doesn't Paul play only Mull in Canada, in England? In the provinces, yes. In the provinces, that's where he'll generally play them. We would love them in America. We know we're not getting them. But Brad says, the mess, flying to my home, a woman, a why, girls' school. Waterspout doesn't count, though, because that never came out. That's not a B-side. That does not, yes, that does not count. All the other ones do. Same time next year, too. That's a CD single B-side, but yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Paper Late, which, if you know your Genesis, what was that? What was that? That song, Paper Late, was a throwback to what earlier Genesis song from the Peter Gabriel era? If anybody knows it, bonus points for you. Extra credit. Tony, it took a long time to adjust to the Ringo EPs. Yeah, and we've got to, when that country album's coming out, I'm not sure, probably next year. Russ, comments, hold on. Russ. Hi, Russ. Thanks for being here today. Good to see you. Jeff says, back in the day, I bought the Nowhere Man EP. Yeah, the cover for Nowhere Man. I'm glad you mentioned that. Aha. Ding, 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 ding. Extra credit points for Ralph. Yes, Dancing with the Moonlit Night is the song in question. Paper Late, a voice in the crowd. Absolutely. I'm going to go back to Jeff's comment here. Back in the day, he bought the Nowhere Man EP because the cover, this is a cover that could have been like a Beatle cover, like an album, a real album cover. Absolutely. Look at this one right here. That screams album cover material right there. Awesome. That could have been a great, great album cover. Look at them there. That's on the filming for Paperback Writer and Rain. Which actually was directed by Michael Lindsay Hogg, believe it or not. For the promotional films. They weren't music videos back then. They were promotional films. Nick says, spin it on. Okay. Paul doing the punk thing. Mike, Robert's Ball has not come out. That would be on probably a London Town / Back to the Egg archive set. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. Funky song. Scott O'Rourke, I didn't get the vinyl set. I got the CD set of the Smile Sessions in 2011. I did not get that's a regret. I wish I got that in 2011. I just couldn't at the time. But the vinyl version of that is one that I really wish I could have. I should look and see how many are available. The box set of that on CD I got, which I thought was great because the Beach Boys were able to finally put together what Smile would have been because Brian Wilson put his own version of Smile out in 2004. So it gave you the most complete kind of version of Smile that could be out there. And that's a good question, Scott. My curiosity is piqued now. I want to see if that's still available. James, let me go back here. You live just around the corner from the Krishna temple that George Harrison bought and helped build. Wow. Very cool. One of them was actually supposed to be at the fest this year, but he was sick and couldn't make it. You probably know of who I'm referring to. I forget the gentleman's name, but he is in the George Harrison Living in the Material World documentary. So I forget his name, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but he was supposed to be at the fest in Chicago, and he could not make it. Yeah, Waterspout though. It didn't come out. It would have. You probably can. I have a copy of it. I don't have an original copy from '66. I think it's an early '80s pressing. But I do actually have the physical EP in the other room. You do. What else is that? Just the vinyl? Like who? If you've got the vinyl box set of Smile, what's in it other than the vinyl? Anything else? Elliot was at this gig where they did Cosmic. You were there when you saw Paul and Ringo do Cosmic Conscience at Radio City. Gonna hold my breath and hope that Paul does not show up to Ringo's show at Radio City. I got enough going on in September. I just cannot make the Ringo show, but he ain't gonna be there. I've got December and 2 shows. I'm good. He will not be at Ringo's show. Say it. He will not be at Ringo's show. Believe it. He ain't gonna be there. Moving on. Susan. I remember watching Rain and Paperback Writer videos on TV in '66, and the big topic in school the next day was what happened to Paul's front tooth. Yes, well, this is where the Paul is dead stuff happens to really those wackos tend to take the ball and run with it, because Paul had a motorcycle accident and he chipped his tooth, and you can see it. It's very noticeable. Mm-hmm. Susan, so you watched that in '66, okay? What was your reaction when you first saw them drop the Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane promotional films, which I believe was on Dick Clark's show, or was it on Ed Sullivan? And I remember, I forget if it was Ed Sullivan or Dick Clark, and they asked the audience, "What'd you think of the Beatles?" And they were like, "They look so different." Because again, the last time anybody saw the Beatles, it was like they were wrapping up Revolver and touring, and now here they are with mustaches. I'm curious what since you're a first generation fan, what was your take? Did you like how they looked? Did you think, what the hell happened? You missed the early, missed the mop tops. What was your take on that? Tony loves cold cuts from the 70s. Yep. Brad, I saw Peter and Mickey on the 50th anniversary of the Monkees tour, and there were rumors of Mike dropping on the shows. Well, that's too bad. Yeah. And I actually found out why. I'm not the biggest Monkees fan, and God knows my co-host, he can't stand them. I'm a casual Monkees fan. Mickey Dolenz was playing a concert in the Chicago area, and he was not legally able to play any Monkees songs. So when Mickey was there, he was only there on Friday and Saturday. They were like, "Why isn't he doing any Monkees songs?" He legally could not play any Monkees songs because he signed a contract, and he couldn't play any Monkees material outside of whatever the contract stated. That's why there were no Monkees songs sung by Mickey at the fest in Chicago. In New York, obviously we saw, he did. I kind of popped in and out, but Tony, good afternoon to you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping in here, and you inspired us yet again with your B-sides ranking, and we watched it, and Tom says, "Oh, we got to do a reply. We have to do a reply to Tony." I said, "Okay, let's do it." Glad you're here, buddy. And I love that picture of you at the cavern. We'll take a few photos in December in that same spot. How about that? Deal? Russ, when he first heard Water Spout, yeah, another jaw-dropping moment when you hear that song. Saying, this is, you shelve this, but you put out something like, I don't know. I always say drop name and address off London Town. Hello, James, my ELO buddy. 1 week. One more week for ELO. And I did see some reports that said Jeff Lynne is looking kind of frail, which is sad because he is 76. I think, David and I were talking because, Tom is going as well in October. And I haven't watched any YouTube videos. And I mean, 5 years ago when I saw Jeff Lynne with Danny Harrison opening for him, excuse me here, he was incredible. He didn't miss a beat. So, I mean, I don't know if his health has taken a turn for the worse, but it is the Over and Out tour. So I'm glad I have an opportunity to go see him with a couple of friends of mine next week. Excuse me. Yeah, no problem. Yep, that's what I heard. Let me go back here. Brad, hold on. Mickey was actually at Abbey Road on the River last year and did some Beatles song. That's one that I'd like to go to one year. That sounds like a really cool. That's the one on the cruise, right? I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that one year and check that out. There's another kind of Beatle convention happening in Charlotte. I think there's a gentleman putting that together. Kit is actually going to be at that. That's in October. I forget what it's called, though, but if you're friends with Kit, she's going to make an appearance at that one. So there are other fests, other kind of fan gatherings outside of just the proper one that Mark does. But I would like to check out some of these other ones that are out there. You have to travel to go to them, but I wouldn't mind checking them out and seeing how they are. This is in reply to Strawberry Fields. She said, "Wow, I thought they looked different, but I thought the new look was just fine. I saw that American Bandstand, and the kids who didn't like it were narrow-minded." Sounds about right. Sounds about right. You know, us Americans, sometimes we just we have an opinion, and we can't think outside the box or realize that, you know, life exists outside of our little four corners of the world. His B-side show was great. It was, and we agreed on many choices. Not going to give too much away. Go watch Tony's. Check his out first. And he just dropped that a week ago. It's on his channel, so make sure you go check that out too. He's always inspiring us. David says he'd pay to see Dolan sing Nesmith songs for a whole concert show. Well, if he did that song Joanne, I'd go pay to see that. And that's a song I didn't know about until actually my mother told me about it last year. Mike Nesmith's solo song, which was just phenomenal. What a great song that is. I did not know it. She texted me one night after watching the show. We were talking about monkeys. She goes, "You know the song Joanne?" I said, "No." I searched it up. Wow, what a great song that is. Yep. Y'all, we will do it. We'll do it. Maybe I'll talk to some people. Maybe we'll actually get a photo on the stage in the actual club. We'll see if we can go right on there on the back wall. You know what I'm talking about. Boyan says, interesting that you drop name and address. I'd be more partial to dropping more. Well, hey, you drop what you want to drop. That's your opinion. That's your choice. Morse Moose and the Grey Goose. That. I used to hate that song, and now it's actually one of my favorite on the whole record because it's got everything with the kitchen sink thrown into it. You know, as an album closer. I remember when I was younger, I'm thinking, what the hell? Why is this on here? But as I've gotten older, I actually really love Morse Moose and the Grey Goose quite a bit. Probably like one of the top songs on the album, like top 3. James, Jeff was looking frail and missing his time. Shortened set too. Afanab, really? Is he still doing the medley with Rain is Falling and all that stuff too? Please tell me he's still doing that. Susan, I don't remember whether the Penny Lane Strawberry Fields Forever videos were on another show before Dick Clark's though. We're talking February of '67, right? So probably not. And I got it. They had better been in color. It's like, how do you watch those promotional videos if they're in black and white? What are you doing? Yeah, the Buds, Boyan and Tone, very cool. James says, with Jeff looking a bit weaker, I don't think we'll get a final UK tour. That's a shame. That's a shame. That's yeah. That's a bummer. Russ, Beatley, Tone, awesome to see you. Andy, Giants, Vikings, perfect weather today. Go Giants. Amen. It's like, yeah, yesterday was such a horrible day driving into the city. And it was pouring. It's like, this is like a top 10 day. I can just see it right now. I'm almost itching. I wish I went to the game. I haven't been to a Giants game probably in over 10 years. Just because I can't deal with the people and the crowds. But this is one of those days I wish I went. Yes. Well, you should know the connection. It's Linda. Linda was good friends with Chrissy Hind. Please reconsider, Andy. All right. I'll reconsider. Elliot, you're making my head, the gears spin here. Abbey Road on the River isn't a cruise, but while you're in town... Okay, it's not a cruise. I thought it was. Okay. I thought it was. Okay. I'm an OG, and I chalked up the mustaches to evolution after hearing the music. That's cool, you know. Okay, new look. Mustaches, a little more mature. Absolutely. Tony loves Morse Moose. As a closer, it's a belter. Absolutely. Good groove in that too. The bass on that song is absolutely the rhythm Paul's got going on that track. Awesome. James says the ELO medley is snippets of recording. Oh, it's not them playing it live? Damn. Of course you're prime time. Oh, that means Tom's working late then, probably, right? That probably means Tom's playing late, working late. Okay. I'll probably see about a quarter of that game before I start looking at my eyelids. Those games start too damn late. 8:35, 8:40 for a kickoff. What are we doing here? Come on. James, my friend Carol's going to the MSG on the 16th. Okay. Oh, they dropped Twilight now? I don't want to hear that. Oh, you'll be closed by... Okay, because I know like when the Lions play, Tom will tell me like that kind of determines how busy he gets. But by that time, they'll be closed. So, but I guess when they're on earlier, he gets kind of busy. Okay. So throw on your Barry Sanders jersey and root for your Lions. Susan. She agrees with Bit's song. The songs won them over. The new 1970 looks were secondary. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be good. Oh, I like this comment here. Russ says the Lions last won a championship in 1957, the year that John met Paul. Sorry, Duke. Hey, man, they should have won that game last year against San Francisco. They had that game in the bag. They should have won that game. Tony says, if Jeff is a bit off at the moment, it could be a temporary thing and he could be back on form soon. I hope so. I'd like to see this version of ELO again because when I saw them in 1978, it was horrible. So, Tony, you haven't had a chance to see Jeff in this latest incarnation when he really returned to touring in 2014? Because he did that gig in Hyde Park. I thought I remember you saying you saw them. I guess you haven't seen them since then. He's not the most he's not going to go. He doesn't deviate from the music too much. You know, he plays the songs exactly like the way they are on the record. So, you know, it's some people say that he's a little robotic because he just plays the songs. But that's how you know them, right? And he's a great professional, and I thoroughly enjoyed. I've seen ELO / Jeff Lynne twice, Radio City Music Hall in 2016 and again in 2019 in Newark, and both times were great. Brad says, I hate it when shows do recordings. Donny Osmond did some of that, but it was probably the only way to fit 60 years worth of material into a 2-hour show, which, yeah, well, I mean, that's all you're going to get, you know. Unless it's a Springsteen concert or a Paul concert, you know, it's going to be, especially Springsteen, his shows could be 4 hours sometimes. On and on and on and on and on. My buddy, I am very much just admiring it. Very much. Yeah, I am. Absolutely. And I've played half of the records, and they all sound fine. No skips. Not a lot of flair with that set at all, really. There's no... People are, is there a book or anything? Again, you've got the nice photo with Paul in there, and that's about it. You know, no booklet describing anything. But hey, that's a pretty nice picture to have. But I'm going to keep it all together. I'm not going to take it out or anything, and I have to find a spot for it on the shelf now. I still don't know how many of these were made. Tony, I got to think it's only got to be a few hundred. Not too many, right? I mean, it was a promotional thing. As I struggle putting the cover back on. Come on, Andy. We'll do it later. Comments. I got to get back here to comments. Hold on. But I'm enjoying it. How are you, Kyle? All well? Looking forward to One Hand Clapping on the 26th. I'm going to go see it for the second time with Kyle in New York. I'm looking forward to that. And Ken Womack told me yesterday that it's pretty good. He got sent a screen, a copy of it, and he gives it his approval. So I'm sure we're in for a treat with that. Boyan, Jeff Lynne hasn't been to Australia since 1978. Really hoping if he's back on top of his game soon, he'll make an appearance before he calls it a day. I hope so. James, replying to Tony, the ELO sound is now perfection. Yes. Yep. It really is. Elliot says, Danny Harrison Interstage live concert coming out September 27th, 2024. All right. Wow. You haven't seen him since 78. Well, listen, the sound might have been crappy, but that's a great album. Out of the Blue. Too bad he didn't do like one of those tours where he just did the whole album start to finish. It's one thing I wish Paul would do, which is never going to happen. Bruce has done it. A lot of the big acts are doing it. They just play the full albums, right? Then they're just so big they can't do that, and they have so many hits they can't do that. But man, just see any of our favorites just go do a whole album tour, like Paul do one album in the first set and then do his hits in the second set. Call it a day. That would be awesome. Is that in Chicago? I guess he's talking about ELO, I think. Susan says, that she loved Tony's B-side show. Your picks were spot on. Yes, they were. Russ says, Mr. Blue Sky, I thought that was George Harrison when I first heard it. Wow, it's very Beatle influenced. Very Beatle influenced, of course. Jeff says, I wish they would do a Beatles-type box set of ELO's time. Oh, mine too, buddy. That's my favorite. You know, that and Secret Messages. Funnily enough, I thought Living Thing was George when I first heard it. Well, listen. There's that great interview of John saying the ELO. That's just basically us where we left off with Walrus, which I know tickles still Jeff Lynne to this day, Pink, because he loves that. You know, that John Lennon praising him. Brad says, I played in a garage band in the 1980s. I found it hard to make the songs sound exactly like the records, and we weren't doing anything as complicated as ELO. What Jeff does is amazing. Yeah. Kyle, life is good, Andy. I had a dream that Paul isn't releasing a new album, but instead a box set just from Olaf Kintyre. Made no sense. What would that be? All the covers, all the different singles and sleeves around the world? My partner would like that. Maybe. Russ says, I think I did as well. Matter of fact, I think a few of them fall into that category. Susan says, Andy, I did decide to roll my Mind Games cube onto its front for storage. It's worked out well, and I'm happy to have ordered the vinyl oriented vertically. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yep, the vinyl is out, but the cube is in there. And I'm not going to try to take it out. I haven't put the little felt cloth underneath it yet to pull it out, but I will. I forget who recommended that to me. Thank you. Because as you saw, when I tried to pull it out of the cube, it didn't work. Oh, a buddy of mine was at that too. Yes. I got to look at my text here. What did he say? He just said, oh no, he didn't see Alice Cooper. He saw Stone Temple Pilots, which I'm not really into, but he saw them. He saw it. The PNC Bank Arts Center, probably the best venue in the state of New Jersey to see a concert. I've seen probably 50 shows there. It's an outdoor arena with a covering and plenty of lawn seats and stuff. I actually graduated high school on that very stage, believe it or not. Really a perfect summer venue to go, basically from Memorial Day to Labor Day. There's concerts there all the time. They're mostly country now, but back in the day, all the biggies used to play there. In the 80s and the 90s, my first concert was in 1998 when I saw Yes. And it's just an awesome venue. And if it rains, you're covered. If you get the lawn seats, you got to scramble. So, great gig. How was Alice Cooper? Good gig? Got to catch up on comments here. Brad, album recreations are a big part of Abbey Road and the River. They'll sometimes get multiple bands together to perform a whole Beatles album. Very cool. Very cool. I wonder what big Beatles tribute bands go there. I'm sure the Fab Four have been there. Peter, nice to see you on here today. It's probably a lot of effort for them to learn every song. It is, and that's why the Fab Four are the best at that. And I'll be seeing that on the 2nd of November when they do the White Album. Talk about an effort. You got to have a lot of instruments to do 30 songs on the White Album. Ali, Band on the Run live would be straightforward. Only Picasso. Well, he's done Picasso's Last Words, but just a little short version of it on Wings Over America. Not the full version. It's just a little bit of a medley that Denny does. Tony, I saw Alan Parsons Project perform entire albums. Okay, I, Robot, and Eye in the Sky. Alan Parsons we know from Beatle fame. James, slow down, Andy. I want to stay alive. I want to make this live stream last. I'm I see you joined late here, James. How are you? Nice to see you on here today, and thanks for popping on. Yeah, it's a little. I started a little earlier today because of the American football season starting today. So, and then the Giants are at 1:00, and I need to be settled and in my spot by 1:45 so I can watch the game. Boyan, I think the real trick is going to be pulling it out to get. Yes, you're right. You're right. I've got to somehow pull it out and do it again and do that. Tony says, we do Mr. Blue Sky, my band. It's a vocal nightmare. It's the only song where we had to do a separate working out session. Okay, Tony, question for you. I didn't know that you played that song. Do you play the full version of Mr. Blue Sky? Meaning, do you let the song end and then somebody does the whole please turn me over bit and then the song ends? Or do you just do it like the radio edit? I'm curious about that. Elliot saw ELO Out of the Blue tour at Madison Square Garden and ELO. Yep. Good show. Boyan says, do you sing in the band, Tone? I used to play drums and could never imagine drumming and singing at the same time. Well, Phil Collins did it pretty damn good. James says, Andy, do you have Secret Messages double album? I have the high res version of the double. I would ditch Rock and Roll is King, which is Pap. I do. I got that a couple of years ago when it came out, which was a great revamped version of the album, which is how it was intended to be, really. I do. And I actually listened to it a few weeks ago. Elliot saw ELO and Danny Harrison in Newark. I was there too. I had tickets for the Zoom tour, but was canceled. And it was also canceled, yeah. I had tickets in 2001, and that they didn't sell enough. Mostly backing vocals, but I'm allowed to do one lead vocal. James, I'm well, thank you. Good to see you. Absolutely. The Saints. You like the Saints? All right. I gotta look at my cheat sheet here. Hold on. The Saints are playing Carolina Panthers. I think you'll take care of them today. Saw Jeff Lynne twice before and it sounded... Exactly. You went to Deep Purple. You went to Deep Purple and Yes last week. Couldn't do it. You know, that's Steve Howe just digging his heels in to say this is really what Yes is. And for my money, it hasn't been Yes in a long, long time. I like that the music is out there still, but it's just not. It's not. I'm sorry. I mean, Steve Howe is a wonderful musician, and maybe if he was close enough to me, I'd go, but I would not driving an hour south to see that incarnation of Yes now. It's just time to call it a day, in my opinion. Okay, so this is in reply to about the full version. No, we don't do the comeback bit on Mr. Blue Sky. We tried it, but we couldn't get it sounding good enough. We don't have a keys player. Well, just sample it then. Just sample it. James says, the only full album gig I saw was Brian Wilson doing Smile in 2004. Well, that was a good gig to see. That was a good one. Yeah, I saw Brian Wilson later with the Beach Boys when they did their final kind of, I think, 50th anniversary tour in 2012 at the PNC Bank Arts Center. And that was a good show. Very good show. So, make sure I caught up on all comments too. I think we have. Very good. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to go pull that Mind Games cube out now and try to do it. But I'm live, so I won't. You got me thinking, though. There is. Yes, there is. That was done on I think it's like 6 CDs or something like that, which is crazy. But I know, Elliot, I know what you mean. I've seen it. Jeff says, speaking of the double album that was supposed to be, I never bought Paul saying Railroad Speedway was nixed by the record company. John, Paul, Ringo, and George were the record company. I say this all the time. So you don't think Paul is fibbing with that? I don't know. According to the McCartney legacy, it was the record company did shoot it down. I don't know if you read, but according to Adrian and Alan, it was the record company did nix it. Speaking of books, I knew I had to show something else here today. This isn't out yet, but thankfully and very nicely, John Blaney has sent us a copy of the book that I talked about last week. The Last Year the Beatles Were Fab, 1973. It came this week. Hardcover, and I just started reading it the other day. Yeah, really, really excited to read this book. Written in a really interesting style, too. He covers the entire year. So each chapter is a year. So like chapter 1 is January 1973, and so on and so on and so on. So I'll probably finish this in about a week. And I'm really glad that, and very thankful that Mr. Blaney sent us a copy of this. I really am. Thank you. And make sure you get it too. Go back here. Yeah, Jeff, I think that's true. I think it's true. I think Paul was very, he was the victim there for a while, and it was easy to pick on Paul. So I generally believe him. It is. And he gives you the charts too. Like at the end of each chapter, he gives you I'll see if I can show it here on the stream. He gives you like what was in the top 10 of the charts, right? So here's the contents, right? Here's the chapters, right? 12 chapters, all from 73. And then let me just show you, if I can show you quick here. Yeah. So at the end of the chapter, he has the charts for the month, right? So the week ending January 6th, 73, you can see what was popular at the time, right? January 13th, January 20th, and January 27th. So you get a feel for what the Beatles in 73 were competing with, which I think is really cool. That was a nice touch of John to do that. It really was. I'm glad that he did, because it's context. I agree with you, Susan. I agree with you. Yeah. Russ says they shot Red Rose Speedway the double down to red and blue doubles. It was one of the dumbest decisions. A double red. Absolutely. Who knows why? Politics at the time, the lawsuit, the Alan Klein stuff raging. Nobody wanted to piss John off, so Yoko got, she got to release her albums. Paul was in the middle of all this lawsuit stuff, and the Beatles, John and George and Ringo, by this time were kind of realizing where they were with Alan Klein. So I just, they didn't support Red Rose Speedway being a double. Big mistake. I mean, the album's great as it is, but if it was a double, we probably would love it even more than we do. I think and I do think it would be different than that. We got that kind of repackaged one in 2018, which is what it should have been. I don't think it would have been exactly like that. I don't. In fact, I've even read in some books that the medley wasn't even part of the album. It was just very late. It was a late edition. Interesting. James says, after Wildlife, I don't think the record company wanted to... No, I guess not. Well, Wildlife only got to 10, which we hear that now, and we're like, oh, that's not that bad. But for a Beatle, that probably was like, oh my God, because everything the Beatles did would be fantastic, right? So a Beatle charting at number 10 was considered a big failure. Not let alone what John Lennon did the next year with Sometime in New York City, going to 48 or something? Did not chart well at all. Beatley Tone says... Oh, they're talking about the band. Yeah, I can see that you would need keys for that genre. Round My Way keyboard players are rare as rocking horse poop. Tony, go hit up Rick Wakeman, and he can play keys for you. One of the last living great prog keyboardists. Yeah, he can help you out. He can tickle the ivory for you. He's not doing much. He's given up touring in America, so go hit him up. Ken Michaels would love that. He will love the Blaney book. Tony says, also Red Rose Speedway was stripped down due to a single because the preceding singles hadn't done as well as expected. In my opinion, as a double, it's a much better album. It is. It is. I agree. Elliot says, just for Steve in the mail, 2 Cat Stevens albums, Numbers and Is It So with lenticular covers on Dark Horse Records. Wow. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is It So? I guess that, yeah, Is It So? Okay, interesting. Scott, yes, good comment here, Scott O'Rourke. Herbie Flowers passed away. Yes. Yeah, he was the bass player. He worked with George, Ringo, and Paul especially on Broad Street. Yeah. Rest in peace, Herbie Flowers. Good session musician and bassist. James Boyce. That's a good name for a band. It is. Rocking Sawdust. Jeff says, but in his opinion, Red Rose Speedway it is. Absolutely agree with that 100%. The Wildlife, Red Rose Speedway, Big Barn Box, whatever you want to call it, 71 to 73, that's been the best set, in my opinion, as well, of the archive campaign. I agree. Boyan as much as I love Red Rose Speedway double album, I could never get used to the sequencing. For example, Little Lamb Dragonfly ending the album with no single pigeon after messes with my mind. Well, that's what happens, isn't it? When we listen to these albums, they get programmed in our brain, right? Like for just to what comes next. Like I know for any time, it's just this is what we do as creatures of habit with music and our listening habits and our trends. We learn it, and then we just think the next song right away. Like, and I'm sure you guys are the same way, most of you all. When you listen to In My Life on Rubber Soul and In My Life Ends, what's the next thing goes into your head? It's been a long time, and you go to wait, right? I think all of us do that. If we don't, you don't, but I've always done that. Whenever I listen to that song, if it happens to come on, like, because In My Life is always like a popular song to be on playlists at parties and stuff like that. And I've heard it, like, and then if it's not listening to the album and it's just on a playlist and it ends, the next in my head or out loud, I'll just sing the next few lines of Wait, and people look at me going, "The hell's he doing? He's just singing a Beatles song." Tell me I'm not the only person who does that, please. James says, I adore Cat Stevens. Numbers and Itzo are great albums. Cat Stevens is great. I enjoy his music too. Casually, I'm not listening to Cat Stevens' album, but I listen to his hits a lot. Father and Son is one of the best songs ever. Great song, Father and Son by Cat Stevens. Awesome. Gets all right in the feels. Well, you can find plenty of Cat Stevens records secondhand. I mean, he was a big selling artist in the 70s, so you can get all, I mean, Tea for the Tillerman is probably the best Cat Stevens. Talk about Rick Wakeman. Rick Wakeman actually is most of you know that song, Rick Wakeman is the actually keyboardist on that song. He always tells a big story in concert about how he didn't get paid for that session. But yeah, Cat Stevens, if you're not getting the new vinyl, you can find vinyl, his copies. Whenever I go searching through records, I always see Cat Stevens records because he sold them by the truckload in the 70s. So that should be able to find. They might be beat up, but you can find cheap copies of his stuff easily. You got to do some digging. Susan got the reconstructed Red Rose Speedway. Okay, I enjoy it. I enjoy it for what it is too. I just don't know if that's what it would have been in '73 if it had come out. Jeff says every time he hears "I've Just Seen a Face," I think more Norwegian Wood should be next. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And of course, Jeff is referring to the American edition of Rubber Soul, which is the best. It's the better one. I mean, Tony, people in the UK, I'm sorry. Don't strike me down, but I think that's the one time us Yanks got it right with the album. I just think it works. I think having "I've Just Seen a Face" open up Rubber Soul makes that album great. And Brian Wilson was inspired by that. That's what not having it, on the UK, having "I've Just Seen a Face" buried on side 2 of Help, but having it open Rubber Soul. So Jeff, I totally agree with you. Boyan says, ridiculous that I wasn't sure what song was next after In My Life until I played the last few bars of the song in my head and heard Wait. Somebody actually asked a comment. I think it might have been, I forget, I can't highlight it because it was a while ago, but somebody asked if we were going to do another Stuck Inside These Four Walls show. Stay tuned on that. We haven't really talked about that. We took a pause on that for a while, given, everything going on with everybody and our own shows. And I'm sure we'll revisit it at some point. I can't tell you when, but I'm sure we will. I'd like to, but we've got to work that out with Tom and Joe and Tony. But maybe we'll do one before the end of the year, if we can. James says, I think most of Paul albums I can improve with additions or ditches. Off the Ground would be so great with most of the B-sides, as we discussed earlier. Yeah. Rest in peace also Sergio Mendes. He passed away this past week. Yep. And his version of Fool on the Hill. And the Sounds of Brazil, I think it is the group. Tony said, I'm putting that down to your youth. When I first heard Rubber Speedway, I had to get my arse off the sofa and turn the record over after Little Lamb Dragonfly before receiving the pleasure of Single Pigeon. Tony says, when I hear Magneto Entertain Man, I want to hear Letting Go next. Yeah, of course. Nick would be a great show, the best twofers. What song do you have to listen to after listening to the other? Yeah, that would be a good show. That's a good best twofers. Yeah, thank you, Nick. I like that idea. Tony says, I would love the U.S. Rubber Soul to be included in the Rubber Soul box set whenever it arrives. Good idea. Good idea. And I know there's been some chat on the Hoffman forums of possibly reissuing the Capitol albums, and in a box set. I don't know. I mean, I'd get it. I mean, I still have all my Capitol albums, but what say you? Would you, especially people in the UK and overseas, would you guys go for a Capitol albums vinyl reissued set? Because that's one thing that still hasn't been done yet. Tony bought the 2 LP set a year ago on your birthday. Cool. Surge. Hi, Surge. You saw Steely Dan do Asia and the Royal Scam live. Now, Asia is one of the best albums ever. Brazil 66. That's what it was. Not sound, yeah. Thank you, Dad. He just corrected me. That means he's watching. Yes, Brazil 66. I have that in there too somewhere. We saw Steely Dan 8 years ago, I think. Yes, hit that like button, please. And Steve Winwood opened for him. And Steve Winwood actually, I think, was better than Steely Dan. But they were great. I mean, they're one of my, that's a big, love Steely Dan. I think Asia's probably my favorite album. That or Gaucho. I'm not sure. The Royal Scam. Royal Scam is my least favorite one, though. Elliot says, Cat Stevens is now a Dark Horse Records artist. Danny signed him and is reissuing his albums on the Dark Horse Records label. All right, well, good for Cat. Boyan, I'm curious, Tone, when you hear the end of Little Lamb Dragonfly, do you instinctively hear, oh, only if they use yes. David, spot on, man. If they redo the Capitol albums, they have to be done like the sets from 04 and 06. Excuse me again, as I get them. These. They got to be like this. These are the real Capitol mixes. Not that crap we got in 2014, the U.S. albums. That thing was only good because the artwork was reproduced better and the sleeves were good. They were faithfully reproduced. They were not the original Capitol versions that are included on these sets. So, and I think they need to redo them just like this. This, if you were an American fan in the 60s, first generation fan, like my dad, like Susan, this is what you know. And if that gets repackaged on vinyl, I'm all for it. And something dropped. Great. Fuck. And it broke too. Oh well. See? This is what happens when I do that. Dumbass. Oh well. That's another one. I have another one anyway to replace it. Tony would definitely buy a box set of all U.S. albums with the original mixes. Okay, you would. You would. You saw Herbie Flowers live at at your college, okay? It's not a CD. It's one of those Beatle plates thing, which were they were kind of broken and chipped anyway. They weren't, it's no big deal. I should have had them hung on the wall. There's only so much damn wall space in this house. One of my Beatle plates. I'm not that upset about it. I'm not. It's fine. Russ, in retrospect, the Beatles' second album, Beatles 6 and Rubber Soul, we got right. I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. I do. I would agree with that statement, Russ. The Beatles' second album, in fact, even there's a book on that written by Dave Marsh, which came out around the time of those box sets. How like the Beatles' second album is one of the best albums, best rock and roll albums, and it really is. I mean, that album, I think it's better than Meet the Beatles. The Beatles' second album is fantastic. Good, 28 minutes, boom, done. Same feeling regarding the U.S. albums here. Very few and far between. They're usually green Capitol labels, which I'm not overly keen on. Yeah. Brad, speaking of Steely Dan, do you like True? I don't know that. I don't know that song. No. You were in Nashville last week visiting Country Music, and there was a display of Paul in Nashville. Cool. Yes, I would consider Danny Serafine of Chicago. Yeah, absolutely. I would. Susan, I totally agree with redoing those, like the Capitol albums volumes, and while they're at it, put out a volume 3. What would be in volume 3? We're going to talk about what? The 11-track Revolver without the 3 Lennon songs. What else are you going to put in there? Yesterday and Today and Hey Jude. What would you put in Volume 3, Susan, if you were to do that? Who else keeps calling Beatles 6 as Beatles VI? I did it when I was a kid. Weird cover, that one, too. Just is. Oh, well. Listen, it was just a plate. It's one of those little plates. It's fine. It's fine. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up. It's been about an hour and 20. It's 12:20, and it looks like the comments have just about all caught up. And if nobody else has anything else they want to ask or chime in with, I think I'm going to sign off for the week. So, been nice chatting with you all today, a little earlier, and I'll be back here again, same time next week, not same time next year. Oh, that's a great song. Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for being here, because if you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. So enjoy your beautiful Sunday. Hopefully it's nice in your neck of the woods, or your evening, like Tony. It's getting to be dinner time for him, and as with Boyan as well too. Thank you. Yeah. Well, you can just rewatch again if you missed it. So, yes, enjoy your Sunday. If you are an NFL football fan, you are happy because football is back here in America. And stay safe. And we'll be back with episode 258 next Saturday on the top 20 B-sides in a reply to Beatley Tone. So, everybody, be well, be safe, and enjoy the music. Talk to you all soon. Bye.